Subodhasnak. Good morning, everybody. Now we are going to start guided meditation. And when Bhante Metta sharing the cameras, I just insisted that I want to show you how I am sitting. So in meditation, the very important uh, thing is the physical preparation. I know it is a little bit difficult when you are sitting for the first time. It is not easy to sit uh, in this kind of posture. But if you experience the deepest, the comfort and the relaxation of the body by sitting this posture, you won't actually avoid that. Anyhow, you prepare yourself to sit. Uh, there might be a lot of uh, thoughts that, oh, I have this pain and I have that pain. I don't have any experience. This is how we used to think. But when I was starting my meditation, uh, I also thought the same way. I don't want to sit like that. It is very difficult. Why I'm sitting for so long? And why should I sit in a cross-leg posture and so forth? I had a lot of questions in my mind. But once I experienced the deepest physical and mental comfort, now I know that I don't want to do meditation in any other posture. I don't want to do meditation in any other posture other than this sitting. That is how I understand. I prepare myself. I'm not preparing for to show somebody else. I'm just, this is how I am practicing my meditation. Because in certain level of the meditation, uh, what we have to do is we just train our mind to forget the body. We just disconnect the strong relationship between mind and body. So once you just let the body to be there, be in the posture, and actually it has to be a very precise, very particular, and very uh, reliable and incorrect, not the correct and the posture, instead of having this and that posture. Once you just uh, uh, get out from the body or taking away your awareness from the body, uh, body can be in a very different ways, and that might be uh, not actually pleasant for the other people by seeing how he's sitting. For example, when we are suddenly falling asleep, that we know, oh, everybody look at him, or and talk about, and because that odd posture, odd shape of the body doesn't welcome other people. And also, once you wake up from suddenly falling asleep, and you know, oh, I felt tired and so forth. I was telling other people, oh, I'm sorry, I fall asleep. So I don't want to have any of those kind of rumors or the conversation with anybody in my sitting posture. I need a very pleasant and gentle and correct and mm, kind of a posture that other people feel that he's in full awareness in his posture. And also you I also have to have a full awareness of my own posture. uh, so it is very important in that aspect. But when you are going into the deepest state of meditation, actually uh, mind uh, is in a very peaceful state of mind, and then body should be in a very stable uh, condition. We are not worrying about the body, we are not even thinking of the body in certain level of our meditation even. Yeah, so anyhow, always it is very very important to have a proper posture. Proper posture means that you keep your full awareness on your body, and you have to have a skill ability to let go the body and draw your attention to the mind. When you are letting go the body has to be in a proper uh, 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 posture. Otherwise, the meditation doesn't work there. So, sitting posture is always very important. It is a little hard at the beginning, but I fully recommend always you have to have a proper posture. Otherwise, you are not sitting, you are not meditating. Take it serious. The posture, physical preparing, it's very important. And then, actually, in our meditation, we practice loving kindness meditation mostly. I don't know how you feel, but I feel that loving kindness is very, very helpful for me. That because the one of the predominant emotions I experience in my mind is the anger. Very easily I get angry, and anger is heavy, and also it is a kind of formidable, fearful. Actually, I don't like anger. Hurting my other emotions also, and it hurting my body, not only this color in the mind, but also the body. I feel the discomfort from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. I feel the bitterness of the anger. Actually, I don't like to feed my anger. I don't want. It is terrible. It is painful. When I was uh, 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 in certain age of my life, I noticed that everybody was talking about, oh, Bante Pune is very easily get angry, so he's serious and so forth. Not only in Sri Lanka, in a lot of places, they were talking about my anger. Then I was feeling so bad. I thought, oh, they are not talking about my good qualities. They are talking about my bad uh, tendency, the anger. Then I thought, oh, this is not good. And also, other people get upset when I am going there, because they think that, oh, he's getting angry. And I thought, oh, I don't want this emotion. And it is hurting myself and my reputation. And also, it is hurting others. Actually, all other people also can feel my anger. My anger is very strong and very aggressive, and that's how I feel about my anger. And also, I felt at the beginning, I felt that, oh, I need anger because I can overpower. I have the reasoning for that. I have, I know, my anger has come because of this. It is fair. It is not, and the other part is not fair. So my anger is reasonable. I want this anger. Nobody can overpower me. And but now I know I don't want to see anger within, and also I don't want to see the anger in others' lives. Once I see the anger in other parties, that I feel, I'm so sorry, but I'm not even telling that I'm so sorry. But anyhow I divert and dilute, and anyhow in very short period of time I try my best to heal uh, the anger, because anger is like a burnt scar. uh, oh my goodness. It's very burning sensation. It's hurting. It's hurting oneself, and also it's hurting others. But because of that, you don't know real, uh, real uh, uh, deep meaning of the loving kindness. Sometimes we just expose ourselves into the anger, and we justify our anger, and then we are actually in a very terrible and sad state of the mind. It is not pleasant. Smile is not there. Smile is not there because the anger is mm, brings some uh, uh, very unpleasant uh, shape to the uh, face, and anger is aggressive. So I felt, oh no, no, I don't want. Actually, I don't want. Truly, I don't want the anger. I know the anger is very tough, a type of mentality. I don't want. If I don't want the anger, it is not something that you can do to avoid the anger. Only the you have to cultivate uh, opposite type of mentality. That is the loving kindness. Actually, not only the loving kindness with mindfulness. How I translate the loving kindness into my own language, in my side, loving mindfulness. I always uh, take care of my mind mindfully with the loving kindness. I try to maintain lovely mindfulness, a lovely mindfulness. That's how I'm thinking about myself, and I'm also encouraging others. Uh, Loving kindness is such a pleasant, blissful type of very positive emotion. And actually, if you deeply understand in the neurological level and also in the um, uh, um, the in the hormone level, um, uh, with the anger we release cortisol, the stress hormone. The very purpose of the releasing the cortisol from the adrenal glands and to increase the blood supply to the heart and to the muscles. And so cortisol increase the volumes of the blood and the pressure. And then what we do actually, we fight or flight or otherwise just we freeze. So for these three of movements we use the cortisol. But loving kindness meditation is the opposite side of the emotions of that. And actually, by practicing loving kindness, we activate the pituitary gland, uh, interior side of the pituitary gland, activate and secretes the another hormone. Actually, in general life, we have these type of hormones, oxytocin. Oxytocin is a very pleasant type of um, hormone that we feel love, comfort, relaxation. So, by changing our uh, uh, emotions, we actually change the hormones in the body. We can change the, we can deeply, we, by changing psychological aspect of our life, we change the hormonal aspect of our life. So physical, we can change, we can have a physical change inside of the body. And also neural pathways actually start to change. And loving kindness neural pathways are completely different from the anger angry type of neural pathways. So we use new types of rewiring in our brain, in our nervous system. So that is why I think it is very, very important for us to practice loving kindness. Anger, right now in general life, anger is a common type of mentality. Mm, in my personal experiences, I don't like that. But I don't hate my anger because I know that even that kind of terms are not helping to reduce the anger. So I'm very careful. I notice that it's a very tender and very soft type of approach we need to take care of the anger. And just it's like a, a cobra with a huge head. And so if you have a cobra in front of you with a huge head and the venom uh, mm, uh, in his mouth, then you have to be very careful and very gentle because In any moment, you can be beaten. So you have to be very careful when you are moving here and there with the anger. You have to be very gentle, very nice, very soft. Then you can tackle and you can guide those type of uh, unpleasant emotions to the right direction. And loving kindness is gentle, wonderful, and relaxing. I love loving kindness. So, having this understanding, we will practice a little bit loving kindness meditation. And you also try to practice loving kindness in your day to day life. So, I am practicing my loving kindness. I want to feel comfortable and I want to be in a comfortable and nice mode mentally and physically. I love my body, not because of the craving. I love my body and mind, not because of the ignorance, but because of I deeply appreciate this body and this life. I deeply appreciate. I love this. This guy is so nice. I love. I like to be with him. This guy is so nice. I love. I like to take care of this guy. Having this good intention, we will go for the meditation. Hmm. First, you can gently close your eyes and we can 30 35 minutes meditation in sitting. Gently close your eyes and listen the sound of the bell. The sound of the bell will help us to wake up our spirituality. We will use the sound of the bell as a sound of our spirituality. And then I'm guiding you, but I'm not really guiding you. I'm guiding myself. The sound of the loving kindness guidance can use as your uh, guided meditation if you enjoy. Otherwise, I don't know. But I try my best to be friendly throughout the meditation, and you have to be really prepare yourself to become friendly with the guided meditation. And um, throughout the meditation, I am truly guiding myself because I love loving kindness. Sabba papansa akaranam kusalansa upasampada Sachit pariyo dapanang etang buddhana sasanang. Avoid evil deeds. Do wholesome deeds. Purify one's own mind. This is the teachings of the Buddhas. This is the very precise, concise uh, explanation given by the Buddha to introduce the, the teachings of the Buddha, the nature of the Buddha, the real, deepest, as very simple explanation for the teachings of the Buddha. By using these three terms, we use them as our basic preparing for our meditation. First, what we can do, we will try to avoid evil deeds. Then we will try to associate with the good deeds. Then we will try to purify our mind. Before we avoid the evil deeds from our mind, from our body, we will observe our body and focus your attention to your body and scan the body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes and feel your body, and you can feel externally and internally, you can feel your body. You can feel some unpleasant feelings in different areas of the body. Feel them. If they are not pleasant, then what we can do, we can relax them. We can relax our body. If you have any sort of heavy, unpleasant, irritable sensations in the body, just notice them and watch them and deeply penetrate them. Then relax. We will relax our body from the top of the head and feel the forehead, the top of the head, and the back of the head. Feel and relax. Relax. And you have closed your eyes gently and relax your both eyes. Just drop down and relax. Feel your facial muscles to relax the facial muscles. So very simple to relax the facial muscles, bringing the smile, a gentle smile, smile like seeing a baby. By seeing a baby, a toddler, what sort of happyful, blissful, smiling thoughts are rising in your mind? You can have a beautiful smile on your face to relax the facial muscles. Once you relax your facial muscles with a smile, you can actually feel your entire body is relaxing. The smile, gentle smile, is very effective and very useful that you can directly spread all over the body and feel the deep relaxation. Feel your both shoulders, upper arms, lower arms, palms, and fingers. The fingers are not just grabbing, grasping, gripping each other. Just relax and drop down. Chest muscles, belly muscles, relax. Upper and lower back muscles, relax. Very gently tune your upright body, upper body, and maintain the very relaxed posture. If you notice any developing tightness or unpleasantness of your lower back muscles, and we be very gentle and relax. In your sitting muscles, if you notice that any pressure or any nerve punch and feel them, that might cause to uh, develop some sort of numbness on your legs. So be alert on that. And I'm sitting in front of the front edge of the cushion. That is very helpful that I can place the sitting bones on the cushion, and it helps me to keep my body upright, and also the weight of the upper body can flow through the backbones to the ground, and it is very helpful for me to relax my upper body. And I feel the both legs, thigh muscles, knees, lower legs, ankles, sole of feet to the tips of the toes. Feel the entire body and relax. We can take a deep breath and hold for a while and relax. Feel the relaxed body. Feel the beautiful, gentle smile. Relax your body further and further, and you feel the deepest comfort of the loving kindness, healing, relaxed body. Very gentle physical preparing. Relax. And draw your attention to your mind. In our mind, we have thoughts, 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 thoughts. Some thoughts are coming from the past. Some thoughts trigger in your mind with regard to the future. Notice the thoughts related to the past. Due to the different uh, painful conversations, meetings, arguments, there might be some scars on your mind. Uh, if you have any pressure, any unpleasantness, the thoughts related to the past, notice them. But at the same time, notice there you have lessons that you should remember all the time. Very helpful lessons. Preserve the lessons and take care of the lessons and revisit the lessons, but we are not revisiting the unpleasantness of the thoughts. Unpleasantness of the thoughts regarding the past, memories, understand. Memories mean that they have gone, no more right here, and let them go. Let them go. Also, the future. For the future, we have pleasant goals, progressive thoughts. They are okay, but if they ruin the peace in mind right now by proliferating thoughts to the future, then think about that. Future is not yet come true, and if it is not come true yet, then let them go. By letting go the past and the future, we bring our full awareness to the present moment. We have a very relaxed body. Outer appearance is pleasant, and you can have your awareness, and you can invite your awareness to remain in this body right now. Observe the present awareness by letting go the past and the future, by letting go the complaints, physical complaints. Now you fully engage with the pleasant awareness to the present moment. Observe your mind. You have given up physical discomfort. You have prepared your body in a very particular posture. The body is not complaining. It's in a very pleasant posture. The mind also not having any so-called unpleasantness, unwholesomeness, or any evil tendencies. So now you are practicing the first advice of the Buddha. Do not evil deeds. You are fully engaging in a very pleasant state of mind. Physically, you are prepared in a very, you are settling in a very precious posture, bringing your full awareness to the present moment. You are having a very pleasant present moment. By being in the present moment, observe the the capacity of your mind, the capability of your mind. You could remove all the dusts from the mind. Now you have a very beautiful mind. By seeing the beautiful dustless mind, you observe your mind is like a cloudless sky. Of course, in a daytime or in the night time, in a very particular days, you can see in a daytime on the cloudless sky, you can see the sun. In very particular days, in the night, in the cloudless sky, you can see the stars and the moon. Now you can see the glittering, you can invite the sort of uh, glittering thoughts into your mind. We invite a very particular thought called loving kindness. To invite the loving kindness, we make a mental image, lovely mental image. According to the teachings of the Buddha, our loving kindness image is a beloved mother who is taking care of her only baby. And we notice the gravity of the loving kindness in mother's mind, the depth and the strength of the loving kindness of the mother's mind. And in the loving kindness of the mother's mind manifest number of beautiful qualities: compassion, tolerance, patience, appreciation, forgiveness, sharing, caring, truthfulness, worthiness, dedication, determination, mindfulness, understanding. Observe and notice the wholesome thoughts in mother's mind to take care of her only baby. Same as a mother who is having a beautiful thoughts in her mind. We will transplant and let them to grow in your mind the wholesome loving kindness thoughts. You also can prepare your mind to give comfort to a baby. Compassion, tolerance, patience, appreciation, worthiness, hospitality. Those are the beautiful thoughts that you can grow in your mind to take care of a baby. Right now, notice, now we are practicing the second advice of the Buddha. Associate the wholesomeness. Wholesomeness. The loving kindness. Loving kindness is a wholesome thought. Related thoughts are also very wholesome, and now you have a very pleasant mind, beautiful mind, calm down mind. Observe the loving kindness mind and take care of your mind and use the loving kindness mind to take care of and appreciate the body. You can notice that how much knowledge you have in your body, in different parts of the body to maintain the good health. The, the skin, the muscles, the bones, internal every organs, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, kidneys and the genitourinary system, central nervous system, brain, spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system. Observe this entire body. For each and every parts of the body, tremendous amount of knowledge, unfathomable intellectuality, intellectual heritage is existing in each part of the body. Without knowing or unknowingly, the body is taking care of itself. Deeply appreciate this wonderful, rational, intellectual function of the body and deeply grateful and radiate loving kindness to your body. You radiate loving kindness to your body not because of the craving, but because of great compassion and appreciation, and also the wisdom that you know it is a wonderful gift given by your mom and dad. Deeply appreciate their great gift. They took care of very well this body. They guided me to take care of this body very well. By thanking mom and dad, we take care of this body by radiating loving kindness throughout the body. Feel the loving kindness mentally and physically. Now you are having loving kindness thoughts. You have directed loving kindness thought. You have applied loving kindness thought. Directed and applied loving kindness thoughts bring some sort of pleasantness, peace, and rapture into your mind. The rapture brings a physical comfort. Physically, you can feel the loving kindness, the, the positive effect of the loving kindness. You can feel as a pleasure. That is why your mind is very easily bringing the full awareness to this directed thoughts and applied thoughts. Notice that you are directing and uh, having a very blissful state of mind. You are directing your mind to the first absorption, pratama dhyana, loving kindness. Mentally and physically, you enjoy your loving kindness. Feel your loving kindness mentally and physically. Notice that you are generating loving kindness within. Boundless loving kindness. like a mother who takes care of her only baby. Notice the gravity and the depth of the loving kindness. Feel the loving kindness mentally and physically. Enjoy the loving kindness. The be well, and be well. Loving kindness is simple in one hand. Be well, and be well. Expand your loving kindness to your spiritual friends. Share your loving kindness with your spiritual friends. May the spiritual friends also be able to cultivate the loving kindness same as I do, and radiate loving kindness to your beloved immediate family members, relatives, and friends. May they also be well, and always be mindful and lovely mindful to take care of the peace at home. Loving kindness is very useful to maintain the peace at home and also in the society. Radiate your loving kindness to your neighbors, neighboring neighbors. Radiate your loving kindness to the people in the area, in the country, in the countries, all the people. The most valuable wealth in this planet is the people, human beings. Deeply appreciate your fellow citizens, humans. May they be well. May they be healthy. If they are having any mentally or physically uh, sicknesses, may they be free from mental and physical sicknesses. May they be healed. May they be well. May they be well. Radiate your loving kindness to all other beings, animals, visible and invisible, seen and unseen, near and far. May all beings be well. Even deeply appreciate the trees, plants, and minerals, the sunbeams, the beauty of the moon, beauty of the planet, beauty of the universe. Deeply appreciate. They all are providing enormous support to maintain this body. Deeply appreciate and render the loving kindness. Be well, be well, be well. Enjoy the deep loving kindness within. Be joyful. Sabbitiyo vivajantu sabrogo vinasatu Mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi yuko bhava. Please open your eyes and come out from the meditation and stretch the body and relax. Relax from the relaxation. Thank you. And our time is up, and so we will meet again afternoon. And afternoon, I will give 2 minutes if you have any questions. And so we will meet again. And thank you so much. Wish you good health and have a pleasant day. Tervan sir. Tervan Saranai.
Terwan Saranai, සියලු දෙනාටම Okay, this is the next item in our program. So this time is reserved to have a Dhamma discussion. So the people who are joining with us today from Zoom and can ask questions and join with the discussion. And those people who are joining from YouTube, they can listen. So if you really want to contribute to the discussion. If you'd like to ask some questions and engage in discussion, you can come to Zoom and then join the discussion. Okay, so before our discussion, I would like to briefly, talk, give give you some enough, Dhamma, enough teaching, so we can discuss them after the initial discourse that I'm giving. Of course, we are having this wonderful, this wholesome day in honor of the Poson full moon. As we discussed earlier, the Poson full moon is a day that we commemorate the arrival of Buddhism to Sri Lanka and the arrival of Arahant Mahamahinda, Mahathero to Sri Lanka, and together with 6 other people. Venerable Mahamahinda arrived in Sri Lanka in the Buddhist year of 236, which is about, if you count from the contemporary time, it is like 3rd century BCE. So Venerable Mahamahinda, who is also the son of Emperor Asoka, arrived in Sri Lanka together with 6 other, the 5 other monks and 1 other lay person. So Venerable Mahamahinda came with the monks called Ittiya, Uttiya, and Sambala, Bhaddasala, and then also novice monk Sumana, and also a lay person called Banduka. So those altogether 7 messengers of Buddhism arrived in Sri Lanka on this day. The meeting the Venerable Mahamahinda had with the king of the country, king of the island at that time, called Tissa, or Devanampi Tissa. Actually, he got the term Devanampi as an honorary title from the king Ashoka. His name was Tissa. So this meeting with this Venerable Mahamahinda and Tissa was a very important meeting, because in that first meeting, Venerable Mahamahinda was able to share the teachings of the Buddha. So today I'm going to briefly discuss the first discussion that long discussion Venerable Mahamahinda had with the king Tissa and his group, his followers. That the Venerable Mahamahinda selected an important discourse from the Buddha to give his first sermon to the king. As you know, that sutta is called Chulla Hatti Padopama Sutta, the short discourse on the simile of the elephant footprint. So it is really interesting that Venerable Mahamahinda selected this sutra as a topic of his first sermon. There are there's a great significance in selecting this sutra as the first sermon to give. So we will discuss. In our discussion today, I would like to base our discussion on that sutta. This sutta is a very compact sutta. We can find so many important summary of the Buddhist path, the Buddha's teaching and the Buddhist path. So we will discuss that, and then I'm going to focus on one part of this whole path that Venerable Mahamahinda explained to the king, and then we discuss that part in detail. Okay, so Venerable Mahamahinda met the King Tissa, of course, when he was going to hunt animal. That was a kind of hunting festival during that time, because this is before the Sri Lanka received Buddhism. So the June month, around that month, used to be a festival. Used to have a festival of hunting animals. So King Tissa was going for a hunt, and actually Venerable Mahamahinda met the king when he was running after a deer. So that is interesting meeting. And then, of course, there are so many things happen, but we will not spend time to discuss all things happen. I think Many of you are familiar with that. So they had the initial conversation. The Venerable Mahamaya, they really wanted to know whether the king was um, king is mature enough to understand the teachings of the Buddha. So there were some question and answers going on. And of course, when Mahamaya explained that he came all the way from uh, Jambudipa, the continent of India, what we call now Jambudipa, and with the help of Emperor Ashoka to help you and to teach you this sublime teaching that can help you and your countrymen for your well-being. Mm. So, but still, King wanted to know what is this, and then Venerable Mahaminda selected this sutra, Chulla Hatti Padupama Sutra. Let us be familiar with this. So, what are the things the Venerable Mahaminda taught to King Tissa and his group uh, at first? This sutra is actually an explanation about how one can develop a conviction, how one can develop a conviction, how one can develop saddha, or more like rooted conviction in the Buddha and the Dhamma and Sangha in a proper way. The mainly this sutta is about that, how one can establish one's conviction that Buddha is an enlightened teacher, is a fully enlightened one. How we can have a conviction, how we can have conviction that actually Buddha was an enlightened uh, teacher, and then how we can have a conviction that the teachings of the Buddha are leading us to liberation, and how we can have a conviction that disciples of the Buddha, whoever follows these teachings of the Buddha, are actually moving towards the liberation. How we can convince even ourselves. So this sutta is about that. Venerable Mahamaya is teaching the king that this is how you should develop conviction. This is how you should, intelligent person. This is how you should pay your attention. You should examine to understand, to fully convince that the teaching that you are receiving now is a teaching of an enlightened being. So how we can convince that? This sutta is about that. Let's talk about this sutta. And this sutta is given by the Buddha to a person called Janusani, and he's a learned person. When this learned person called Janusani came to see the Buddha, and he reported an incident happened few days ago. So Janusani is visiting the Buddha for the first time. He hasn't seen the Buddha before. The reason that he decided to come and see the Buddha was that few days ago he met one of his friends. One of his friends who is also a religious person, who is also what we call an ascetic or paribrajaka, a wanderer. So Janusani, who are now meeting the Buddha, had a friend called Pilotika. So a few days ago, when Janusani was traveling with his chariot, looks like Janusani was a well-to-do person because he's traveling in a chariot with a white hood, a horse chariot. So when he was traveling in that chariot, and he saw a wanderer, let's say another ascetic, who's also his friend called Pilotaka, is coming from the opposite direction. So he thought to stop his chariot and had a discussion with him. So he stopped his chariot and came down from the chariot and asked, where are you coming from in this middle of the day? Where did you go? And this Pilotika, the wanderer, this ascetic, told Janusani, I'm just coming after seeing the Buddha. Janusani hasn't met the Buddha. And he asked, who is the Buddha? And he said, oh, Buddha is an enlightened person. He's a great teacher. So I have a great confidence that he's a great teacher and he has so many good qualities, and I have a great respect for him. Then Janusani told him, you are already a religious practitioner. Why you are talking about the Buddha uh, in these words? Why you praise the Buddha so much? How do you know that what you call the Buddha is such a great person, such a wise person, is an enlightened person? How do you know? Then Pilotika replied to Janusani, I know because I have some evidence. I have some evidence to tell that Buddha, the Buddha is a fully enlightened person. The recluse Gautama is an enlightened person. I have evidence. Then Janusani asked, "What are your evidence?" Then Pilotik replied, "I have seen so many educated people, so many religious people have visited the Buddha, and I have seen how they converse with the Buddha. Even I have seen how they debated with the Buddha. But every time when people come and talk to the Buddha, when people come and have argue debates with the Buddha, and every time Buddha was able to give proper answers to whatever they are asking, and Buddha was able to clear their doubts. And ultimately, most of the people who come to the Buddha in order to debate with the Buddha, in order to defeat the Buddha in the arguments, but I have seen all of them at the end accept the value or the teachings of the Buddha, and most of them ultimately become disciples of the Buddha. So he said that this is my evidence. He said, I have seen people from the warrior caste, like rulers in a warrior caste, who are very learned, very intelligent. They have come to the Buddha just for the argument, because they are famous in their society, in their community as educated, learned people. So they really wanted to come to the Buddha and argue with the Buddha and show the others that they have won the argument. Their points is correct. But I have seen people from the warrior caste come and have such discussion and arguments, not arguments, debates of the Buddha. But most of them at the end accepted the truth of the teachings of the Buddha. They become disciples of Buddha. I have seen people from the Brahmin caste, the more like religious or maybe learned society, learned community. They have come, Brahmins have come and had the same debates with the Buddha. They also ultimately become disciples of the Buddha. I have seen other householders, the Vaishya caste, the people who are doing day-to-day businesses and leading household life. I have seen those people, who educated people, also come to the Buddha. They also become disciples of Buddha. I have seen other religious practitioners, other ascetics, the people who are engaging in so many other meditations and other practices, ascetic practices. They have come to the Buddha, and they have so much of understanding, knowledge, and experience, but they also want to have a debate with the Buddha. But ultimately, they have also become disciples of the Buddha. Buddha was able to clarify their doubts. Buddha was able to answer their questions, and sometimes Buddha was able to show that their premise that they're arguing from are wrong. So Pilotek answered Janusani, this is my evidence. I have seen that four types of people, the people from the warrior caste, Brahmins, from the householders, and other ascetics, have come to the Buddha in order to argue with the Buddha, but at the end, they become disciples of the Buddha. That is my evidence to say that the recluse Gautama is an enlightened, as a fully enlightened person. Then Pilotik also give him a simile to show his evidence. This, he said that it is like, I have seen this, how many these people come to the Buddha and they become disciples of the Buddha, and it is enough. It is my evidence to say that the recluse Gautama is a fully enlightened person. It is like this. He gave a simile. This is where we find the elephant footprint as a simile. The simile Pilotika told Janusani, it is like when a person who want to look for a bull elephant. In among the elephants, there are many species, many varieties of elephant. There is the tallest, the strongest, the biggest elephant is called Chaddanta elephant. That species, that type of elephants are the tallest, the strongest, and biggest. So let's call him a bull elephant. So person who wants to see whether a bull elephant is living in a forest. So he want to make sure that there's a bull elephant living in this forest. If that person uh, want to make sure that there's a bull elephant in the forest, and he will go for search for that elephant, and then he will find a large footprint, bred in this very large footprint that usually a bull elephant has. So when that person can see a large footprint along the river banks and in the muddy areas next to the forest, when you see such a large footprint, and then that person can say that there's a bull elephant in this forest because of these footprints, because these footprints should come from that elephant. So for that person to say that there's a bull elephant in the forest, these footprints are the evidence. In the same way, for me to say that recluse Gautam is a fully enlightened person, the four groups of people I have seen coming to the Buddha and become disciples of Buddha, they come to have a debate with the Buddha, but at the end they become disciples of Buddha. And those are my evidence to say that Buddha is fully enlightened person. So this was a discussion happened a few days ago. Now Janusani, who came to know about the Buddha from his friend Pilotika, has now visited the Buddha. Now there's a discussion between the Buddha and the Janusani. So he reported to the Buddha what happened a few days ago. And this is what my friends told me about you. And this is the example, this is a simile that my friend gave it to me. Then Buddha said to Janusani, I'm so glad that you came to see me. I think your friend has directed you well, but the simile that your friend gave you is not complete. And it's in the same way, the reason that many people come to me and become my disciples is not enough evidence for you to know and say that I am a fully enlightened person. Just because many people come to me and become my disciples is not sufficient evidence for you to say that I'm a fully enlightened teacher. You need to continue your search. And Buddha said that even in the case that somebody wants to make sure that there's a bull elephant in the forest, simply seeing the footprints is not enough. That person has to continue the search to find more evidence to conclusively say that there's a bull elephant in the forest. So Buddha said that just because so many people follow me, there are so many people, I have so many disciples, I have a big following, does not guarantee that I'm fully enlightened. And so for you to convince yourself that I'm a fully enlightened person, you need to continue your search. This is so interesting, right? How the really Buddha wanted to encourage someone to not simply accept the Buddha as the enlightened person, as a teacher, just because he has so many other followers. The Buddha said that you shouldn't use that as a basis to trust in me. You need to continue your search. This is beauty of the teachings of the Buddha. Imagine that this is the teaching that Venerable Mahinda is given to the king. You need to understand the historical context here. So now Venerable Mahinda is coming from India, and with the support of King Ashoka. And now you are talking to the king in Sri Lanka. So as the first teaching, Venerable Mahamahinda is sharing this sutta, which says that Buddha is not approving to accept the Buddha as a fully enlightened person just because he has many followers. So what Venerable Mahinda is trying to communicate to the king is that you don't accept my teaching. You don't accept the message that I'm giving you just because there are many Buddhists in the next country. Just because there are, the Emperor Asoka is following Buddhism. That should not be your basis to accept this teaching. So I think in the history of missionary, of course, people, spread religions to different parts of the world. So usually when religions are spread out, people, um, there are missionaries that who will go out and teach religion to other people. They really want many people to, follow the religious life. So we can see so many people in all religious groups are going around and spread their teachings, and of course, Buddhism is one of the first missionary religion. So there were like monks and traveling to different countries and sharing the teaching of the Buddha. But the way these monks share the teaching of the Buddha is very different, and this is the best example. Venerable Mahinda is sitting with the king and telling him that I'm going to share you important teachings, important message of the Buddha, and so he's choosing this sutta to say that just having so many followers of the Buddha is not good enough for you to accept Buddhism. In other words, just because your neighboring country has so many Buddhists should not be the basis for you to accept Buddhism. Just because the Emperor Asoka is a Buddhist should not be your basis to accept Buddhism. You need to do your research more. You need to do your own personal investigation, and you need to develop your own conviction before you accept this teaching. Usually, this is not how the missionary work is done, but this is how it has been done in Sri Lanka. I think the Venerable Mahinda's mission was so successful in the whole history of religions. There is no country in the world who had the same religious traditions continuously for 23 centuries. There's no country on this earth which had a same religious tradition as the main religious tradition continuously for 23 centuries. Only Sri Lanka. You can search this in world history. Of course, there are long religious traditions like Israel is a Jewish country for many many centuries, but there was periods that those things changed, and Egypt has a long history. But Sri Lanka is the country which has the history of the which has the longest religious tradition continuously, being a predominant religious tradition. That shows the success of the mission of Venerable Mahinda. And the way he taught the Buddhism to people in Sri Lanka is very different, very unique. It's not really aggressive. It's not really like pushing them to accept. It's like allowing people in Sri Lanka to investigate by themselves and incorporate the teachings to their lives. So let's go back to the discourse. So Buddha told Janusani that that is not enough. Just because so many people come to me and become my disciples, it's not enough for you to believe that I'm a fully enlightened teacher. And Buddha said that even the simile that you gave me, your friend told you, is also not enough, not complete. Buddha said that Buddha has such a great knowledge about forests, about animals. It's amazing, how knowledgeable Buddha was about animals' behavior and different types of animals and also the forest. So Buddha said that, of course, when some person sees such a large footprint, that can be a good evidence to say that there's a bull elephant inside the forest, but that is not enough. Buddha said that it is possible that this footprint does not belong to a bull elephant, because Buddha said that there are she elephants called Vamanika. They are dwarfed elephants, short elephant, but they have large feet. So that footprint could belong to such a she elephant, a dwarfed ones which has large feet. So you should not conclude if someone want to convince that there's a bull elephant, that person should not conclude right there. So that's one evidence. You have to collect the evidence, but does not come to conclusion. But that person need to continue the search. Do not simply stop the search right there. That person should continue the search. So then Buddha said there are many other evidence that one can find in order to make sure that there's a bull elephant there. So when that person should go into the forest, and then he will see that there are that signs in the trees, because usually elephants will uh, scratch their back, maybe rub their body against trees. So when you go to the forest, you will see the signs along the trees that you see the bark has been removed. So usually the bull elephants are so tall. So if you see such a scratch mark of trees that high, so that could be one evidence that there's a bull elephant. And elephants, the tuskers, the elephant with tusk, also the Chadnanta elephant, this bull elephant also has tusk. Now you will also see the elephants has make some marks on the trees with their tusks. So when you see such marks appear in a very high level, and that can be one evidence that there's a bull elephant in this forest. You should have that as another evidence. But do not stop your search there. The Buddha said that there are other types of animals. Buddha called them kalarika. There's other type of elephants who are actually tall. They are not the bull elephant, but they are simply tall. And they can make the same scratches along the trees. So you don't come to conclusion. You collect this as another evidence, but you should continue your search. And Buddha said that when that person will continue the search, then he will see in some areas you see branches have been broken. Elephants will use their trunk, and they will break branches to eat. And if you see certain branches have broken, they are so tall, only usually a bull elephant, a chadant elephant can reach. And then there is another evidence for you to know that there will be a bull elephant here. But then Buddha said, don't come to conclusion. Don't stop your search there. Because there's another type of elephant. Buddha called them kaneruka. And these elephants, their trunks are so long, and they can actually break branches from higher trees. So it could be a chadant or bull elephant, or it could be this another kaneruka type of elephant. So you shouldn't conclude there. You shouldn't stop your search there. You need to continue your search. And Buddha said that you continue your search until the moment that you find this evidence. You see the footprint. Okay, you have one evidence. You see the scratch marks of the trees. You have another evidence. You have this, marks of the marks made by tusk. You have another evidence. You have seen the breaking of the branches in the higher level. So another evidence. You collect this evidence, but you don't stop your search. And Buddha said that once you actually continue search, and once you follow these marks, you follow those marks and look for the forest. And when you continue search one day, you'll be able to see with your own eyes a actual bull elephant standing in the open space in the middle of the forest. When you see with your own eyes, really a bull elephant is right here, then only you should stop your search and you should come to a complete conclusion there's a bull elephant. And actually, Buddha can expand at the simile given by Janus and his friend, a wanderer before. Buddha said, in the same way, and your friend told you that the evidence for him to believe that I am a fully enlightened teacher, but those evidence were the many people come to me and become my disciples. But that is like seeing the first footprints. But you shouldn't come to conclusion that I'm a fully enlightened person. You shouldn't stop your search. You should continue your search. Then Buddha explained how you can actually know that I'm a fully enlightened person. Not simply seeing how other people become my disciple. You need to practice by yourself. Then Buddha explained, just like you collect evidence to make sure that there's a bull elephant, Buddha said that you should first, if you really want to know that, that I'm a fully enlightened teacher, and my teaching is leading one to liberation, And my disciples are experiencing the fruits of liberation. If you really want to know, you need to practice by yourself. And then Buddha explained how gradually one can experience the kinds of liberation that the Buddha is experiencing, the kind that how one can gain realization and understanding that Buddha is sharing with others. So Buddha said, first you have to be virtuous. There is a first step, like like the tracking of the bull elephant. And if you want to track, if you really want to know for sure that I'm fully enlightened teacher, and you need to practice that. First, you have to be virtuous. First, you have to observe the precepts, and you have to be virtuous. And you can see whether those precepts, this virtuous life, is is giving you kind of freedom that I'm experiencing. Buddha said that once you become virtuous, become very careful of your behavior and not to create any harm to anyone with your body and with your speech, and not to use your body and your speech to abuse anyone. When you have such a pure life, a pure way of living, and not to like unnecessarily indulge in things. And once you have such a virtuous life, Buddha said that you will be able to experience what you call the happiness of blamelessness. Happiness of blamelessness, what you call anavajja sukha. Buddha said, if once you experience that joy after living a virtuous life, you feel so happy about your life. You feel that I have not become a burden to, I have not become a trouble to anyone. I haven't hurt anyone's. I had such a pure way of life. And that Buddha said that is a deeper sense of happiness. It comes from like confidence coming, and it's a wholesome happiness. Once you experience that happiness, then you have another evidence to say that, oh, this practice works. This practice is benefiting me. This practice giving me different kinds of happiness, different kinds of freedom. And you have some glimpses of the enlightenment that I'm experiencing. So that could be your one evidence. So then Buddha explained of that. So you first have to be virtuous. I think what you are practicing today is that part, that step. If you have, and of course today, at the end of the day, you'll feel a different kinds of happiness, different kind of joy that you spend this day in the most wholesome way. And you had the day in this year that you spend most wholesomely, not harming, hurting anyone, not indulging unmindfully, and such a pure way of living. At the end of the day, you feel such a joy, such upliftment. Then we can have some glimpse. Oh, Buddha could have been enjoying this happiness all the time. And that could have been the minds of the Buddha, some glimpses of the enlightenment of the Buddha, we will get it as a result of following a virtuous life, moral life. So that is what you are going to experience today. So first is the virtuous life. Then Buddha said you should stop there. You shouldn't stop. You should continue. And then Buddha gave him another step in the path, what Buddha called guarding the senses, or sometimes we call sense restraint. In Pali we call Indriya Sangvara. Indriya Sangvara. And that I need to discuss this one little detail, so I'll come back to that. So Buddha is given, first you have to be virtuous or follow precepts, then you have to follow the technique called Indriya Sangvara, guarding your senses. We will discuss this part detail. Then you have to start to live a mindful life, like paying attention to many things that you do with your body, and mindfully behave, mindfully conduct your body. And then you need to start to meditate. Buddha said that you need to practice techniques of meditation to get rid of your 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances are burdens to your mind. 5 hindrances are preventing you from seeing the reality. They are like hindrances. They are like uh, um, that those things dilute, or maybe those things block our clarity of vision, clarity of knowing. So you need to practice samadhi, like calming types of meditation in order to get rid of five hindrances. Then you need to experience the jhanic level of calmness. And then, so these are, then you need to use your that calmness of the mind to see the impermanence of every experience arising. And what the Buddha calls, then you need to slowly develop insightful knowledge to have deeper realization of impermanence and non-self nature of every experience. So these are the steps Buddha told Janusani. You have to start with morality, moral life, virtuous life, precepts. Then you need to move to practice what we call Indriya Samvara. Then you need to develop a mindfulness to a daily life. Then you need to sit and do a real meditation and remove and try to find ways to remove your hindrances and experience jhanic level of deeper peace and use that peace to penetrate to the reality, truth of the life. And so in each step, you will experience deeper levels of happiness, deeper levels of freedom, and deeper levels of lightness of the heart. Because the more we have unwholesome tendencies, is heavier our mind is. So we can experience deeper levels of freedom and happiness in each step. And Buddha said that once you have insightful knowledge and have penetration understanding of the impermanence and reality of the life, then you will know for sure that Buddha is the fully enlightened person, because now you have realized it. It is like, what Buddha is teaching this Janusa is like, think about, you have a great teacher. You like that teacher because that teacher has so many students. Maybe your chemistry teacher, maybe your science teacher, maybe mathematics teacher, maybe literature teacher, whoever. Many students like that teacher. Many people say good about that teacher, and then okay, you also like that teacher, so you start to study under that teacher. Then once you continue your study, and then you will also develop same kind of knowledge, same kind of understanding. And let's say you in your continuous study one day, you get the same degree as your teacher, or maybe you get the same level of understanding of the subject that teacher is having, maybe close to that. Then only you will realize the full value of that teacher. Oh, this is what this teacher has been telling. Once you fully realize that what teacher is telling you, then only you can have a full appreciation of the knowledge of the teacher. So in the same way, what Buddha is telling us is also the same thing. Like we need to experience in the beginning some glimpses of the freedom that Buddha is teaching us, some glimpses of the deeper realization that Buddha is sharing with us. We need to experience within ourselves, and we will fully appreciate the deeper understanding, deeper compassion of the Buddha only when we also reach close to that goal. But along the way, we can have some glimpses, some freedom, some realizations. It just same like that, the elephant tracker who is like going and collecting the evidence and then ultimately seeing the elephant with his own eyes. So that is the path, that is the journey in his spiritual path. This is what Venerable Mahamahinda told the king as the first teaching of the Buddha. This is so interesting because there are a number of significance of this sutra. Because first, this sutra is teaching the king that there's no force for you to accept this teaching. You need to investigate by yourself. And then this sutta also explains the gradual path in Buddhism, starting with moral behavior, moving to Indriya Samvara, and then practicing mindfulness in the daily life, and then practicing meditation and experiencing jhana, and then going towards the insightful knowledge. This is the map of the Buddhist path. So this sutta summarizes that. At the same time, this sutta also has the gatha we recite, itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho, and so forth. That gatha and Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, that gatha, and Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, that those three gathas are included in this sutta. The many of the chants that we do in our puja, in our Buddha Vandana offerings, and some of these chants are composed by us to pay homage to the Buddha. But the Itipiso Gatha and Swakata and Suprema, these three gathas coming from the sutra, from the original literature of of Buddhism. So we find these three gathas in this sutra because you become fully convinced that Buddha has these 9 virtues when you are moving towards the final goal of the path. And this sutra also had the occurrence of namaskara, the salutation of the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Because in the first meeting, when the Pilotek explained to the Janusani, why he talked about the Buddha in high regard, and in that point, Janusani turned towards the direction of the Buddha and recited this namaskar, this salutation of Buddha. So by teaching this sutra, Venerable Mahamahinda was able to teach all this important recitation to the king also, and also show him the summary of the Buddhist path. Okay, this is the first teaching. So interesting to know that how Venerable Mahamahinda was like gradually teaching this king in a very open-minded way, and it's a very, very important incident. And what I want to discuss in detail today, this the second part after we become virtuous, after we follow the precept. The second step in this path is called Indriya Sangvara, and this is a very important concept for us to understand deeply, practice in our life. The practice called Indriya Sangvara, or guarding of the senses, our eye, ear, and nose, tongue, and all these senses. Guarding of the senses is a very important practice in Buddhism. Sometimes we are not very familiar with that, but this is something that we can practice our daily life. So interestingly, the Indriya Sangvara is found in between the moral behavior and meditation. So the Indriya Sangvara is the kind of in between, the intermediate period where we can move from from our moral life to gradually to practice meditation. The Indriya Sangvara is such a very helpful practice to our deeper meditation. But Indriya Sangvara itself can be a form of meditation too. Let's see what it is. So this is how the Buddha has explained the Indriya Sangvara. So we have 5 indriyas, or 5 faculties, 5 senses. Of course, we have 6 senses. So actually, we have 6 senses. We have 6 senses. We have eye, we have ear, we have nose, we have, let's say, mouth or tongue. We have skin as senses, and we have 5. And then our mind can also function as a separate individual sensory organ when these things are not working, or as a secondary organ when we have initial encounter. So these 6 senses. So guarding the 6 senses is a very important practice in Indriya Sangvara. How we guard? This is what Buddha said there. On seeing an object with the eye, one do not reflect on its features or anything associated with this. If you leave your senses unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade you. So the practice, restrain, guard your eye faculty. Let me read another quote. When perceives a form with an eye, or sound with the ear, or an odor with the nose, and taste with the tongue, an impression with the body, or an mental image in the mind, that person does not apprehend the sign or the particulars of that object. So let me explain what we mean by this. All the time we see things, we hear things, we smell things. We live in the world by connecting to the world through our sensory organs. But we are not only seeing and hearing and smelling. Once we see, hear, and smell, very quickly we shift ourselves from a sensory experience to mental constructions. So there's a very rapid shift happening unconsciously in our mind, that whenever we have a sensory experience, we see things, we hear things. When these things happen, very quickly we shift, we move from that sensory experience to mental constructions. And then we make anything that we see an object, a theme, a beginning point for further thoughts, further thinking, further arising of thoughts. Usually can develop unwholesome emotions like unwholesome states of greed, unwholesome states of grief, unwholesome states of hatred, all kinds of thoughts. So all our unwholesome emotions arise in our mind as a result of an initial sensory experience. No emotions come to our mind without seeing or hearing or smelling something, or at least remembering something that we saw earlier. This is a very psychological fact, actually. Whenever we think about emotions, we only experience the emotion, but that emotions, whatever emotion that we are going through, could be sadness, could be disappointments, could be frustration, could be even fear. Any of those things actually come to our mind as a beginning point of all these emotions is a sensory encounter. Beginning of any of our emotions is either we saw something, we heard something, we smell something, we taste something, or we touch something, or we remember something. So what Buddha is telling us, that if we can guard our senses, means that whenever we see something, train our mind to see actually what we are seeing, but not to make what we see a theme of further mental construction, not to make whatever we see a of beginning point of developing more emotions and thoughts, and try to see the things, but like observe it, but don't quickly jump to the state of mentally constructing so many other thoughts. That is the advice here. So, and of course, this is almost a meditation, but Buddha is saying that we can practice that in our daily life, because in daily life we see things, we smell things, of course, it's very hard. Whenever we see things, we see that, and we quickly jump into thoughts, and we, engage in our thoughts, and we can experience so many emotions. And that is what we live our life. We may hear some words, and that can start a memory, and then we can develop so many thoughts about it, and then, and at the end we experience, so much of emotions as a result of that. Let's say, when you go to kitchen, and you can see something in the kitchen. Maybe it could be a plate. Okay, you see a plate sitting on the table, sitting on the island, in the kitchen, and you see a plate. That's what you see. But then we can make it a theme. Buddha said that we make it a nimitta. We can see it. We can make it a theme. Oh, this is the plate that, maybe, that you had your parents visited you, many years ago. Oh, this is the plate my, parents used to eat. And now you jump from plate to the memories you had with your parents, or maybe any visitor who came to visit you. So you saw the plate. That's all what you saw. But then you can make that plate a theme for the mental constructions. And then you can jump into, oh, this is the plate that that person used. And you jump into that person, and you think about that person. Whatever things that you had with the person, sometimes those thoughts can end up being developing other emotions. Maybe if you had a quarrel with that person, maybe you feel you end up being angry with that person. You remember that person, that person came here, he ate with this in this food, in this plate, and that person later became angry with me. We had this conversation, this arguments, and it's not happy with me anymore. And these people are like that, they only come and make use of make use of us when you are friendly, and you can have all kinds of thoughts, and at the end you are experiencing hatred. So whatever we see can be an object, can be a beginning point of unwholesome emotions. Whatever we see. So Buddha said that if we can guard our senses with that, this is mindfulness. This is practicing mindfulness. If we can guard our senses, that whenever we see something, we see it, we clearly notice it, and then we tell ourselves, "Oh, it's a plate. It's a plate. It's a plate." Of course, you will have all kind of other memories. It can, bring you to many kind of directions. You notice them, but you do not follow those thoughts. You come back to the actual sensory experience and tell yourself, "It's a plate. It's a plate. It's a plate." That's all. So there could be many things that you will see in your house. There could be many things that you will see when you travel. And those things when you see can become a theme, a nimitta. Or you can use that as a theme for further development of your thoughts, and at the end you experience difficult emotions. So, and if we can understand that, and then train ourselves to guard our senses, which means that we notice it and we see it, and we know that it's possible that I will be dragged into many directions, but knowing that, you guard yourself and tell yourself, "Oh, it is only a visual form, only a visual form. That's all here. No one is here. That's a visual form." This can happen not only to what you see, but also what we hear. The one word can bring us so much of emotion if you don't, guard our senses. Those are like, these senses are like doors. Many strong emotions, many painful emotions can come towards us if we don't guard them. Many unwholesome emotions can invade our mind if we don't guard them without no reason. Sometimes people have, we have people have blamed us so many years ago. But one thing we see, or maybe one thing we hear, can bring all these memories and create, the same, memories, same thoughts in us, and create pain in us. So sometimes we experience pain, we experience fear, we experience all kind of emotions with no reason, because we are not able to guard our senses. So unnecessarily we experience a strong emotion most of the time. And this guarding of the senses is so important in our life that it can actually save so much of our mental energy. It can give us so much of freedom to our mind, because sometimes most of our negative emotions, heavy emotion we experience without any good reason. Because whatever we see, hear, smell, taste can somehow push us to to have all kind of thoughts. So guarding the senses is like nipping in the bit, nipping in the bud, nipping in the bud. That is like simply staying with this actual sensory experience. This can happen not only from the thing that you see, but also things you hear. Like you, even right now when I talk to you, you may hear certain words that can start. That can bring you to whole digression. For example, I just talk about elephants, right? So sometimes whenever we hear the word elephant, you can use that word as a theme, and you can use that simply sound elephant as a beginning point of a whole different story and emotion. Sometimes whenever you hear the term elephant, suddenly you may stop listening to me and you can think about, "Oh, elephant. I have seen elephant in Perahera in the procession." And you can think about, "Oh, Perahera, yes, I saw that elephant in the Perahera. Oh, he was doing this. That is how he looked. That is how he danced." And and I went to see Perahera with these kinds of people. And you think about those people, and you think about all this happened. And then the end, sometimes you feel missing them, or sometimes we had some argument with them, you feel angry again. So that emotion that we are experiencing is like nothing really happened new. You just heard the word elephant, and we use that elephant as a theme for further mental constructions and proliferation of the thoughts, and then ultimately experience an emotion which is not necessary. But this is what is happening all the time in our life. This is very common. This is common. This is how our mind works. This is how our inclination. But what Buddha is asking us to guard our senses, have that awareness that any emotions come from our sensory encounter. I'm not asking you to stop all the emotions. I mean, of course, as human beings, we should experience emotions. But I'm telling you that sometimes most of harmful emotions, most of negative emotions, most of defilements arise in our mind because of our inability to guard our senses. All defilements, all greed, hatred, all like even jealousy, all these defilements come to our mind through our senses. They don't really come through senses, through some sensory encounter. If we guard our senses, like reminding ourselves that this is only a sound, this is only a visual form. If we can train ourselves to stay right there, not to make anything that we see, hear, smell a theme for further reflections, then we are safe. This is very important for people who are experiencing anxieties. People who have anxieties and fear, usually their anxieties get started when they have what you call triggers. So people have going to experience anxiety and even end up being experiencing panic attacks. All this start with some trigger point, some sensory encounter. Maybe they hear a sound that is familiar, that can trigger the patterns of anxiety. Maybe a sound, maybe some smell sometime. So if such a person can train their mind like to hear that sound and then tell the mind it is a sound, it's a sound, it's a sound, it's only a sound, that is all, it's only a sound, it's happening right now, and try to break that jump that we are doing from the sensory experience to mental world. If we can break that jump, we are safe. Of course, in the case of people who are experiencing anxiety, that jump is so strong, that neural network is so strong, it's not easy for them to stop in the sensory experience, but they can gradually train. That is why it's important for us to train our mind right now, because so when you develop this ability to guard your senses, and it is easier, we will never experience anxiety, because we can stop our mental activities right at the point of sensory experience without moving further than that. So this is what we call indriya samvara. Indriya Samvara, guarding the senses or sense restraint. This is something that we can practice in our daily life. Whenever we see things, whenever we hear things, particularly when we smell things, that is the hardest. When we smell things, that can bring us so much of memories, and sometimes can bring so much of defilements, and can bring so much of difficult emotions. It is common. This is not something wrong with us. This is common, but it's not helpful sometimes. And it simply strengthen, reinforce our defilements. It simply let us to experience painful emotions unnecessarily. So that is why we need to be smart, and then gradually train ourselves to guard our senses. If we guard our six senses, there's no way that painful emotion can come to us. There's no way a defilements can develop in us. Of course, we will not be able to do these things for everything we see and hear. But if we can start this practice, if we still have that orientation, if we have that orientation in our mind, we'll be able to save a lot of energy in us, and then and experience another form of happiness. With the virtuous life, we experience happiness of blamelessness, and with sense restraint, we experience happiness of seclusion. Seclusion means happiness of unagitated mind. Because agitated mind, a strong emotion, is a heavy feeling, it's tired feeling. But when you do not have them, it's more like relaxation. So you will experience some lightness in the mind, some kind of freedom in the mind. So that can become another evidence that the teachings of the Buddha work in our life. Teachings of the Buddha can really make us free. Teachings of the Buddha can really bring us deeper happiness and deeper insights. So then we will enhance our saddha, confidence with the Buddha. Okay, that is what we call sense restraint. I think now we have some time for us to ask some questions, and have some discussion. So I think now I invite all of you to feel free to share your thoughts and ask some questions. Please feel free to let us make this a discussion. Please feel free to ask any question that related to what I told you about the sutta, anything. Yeah, please go ahead. Open your microphone and please ask.
Teruvan Saranai Hamdurone.
Teruvan Saranai Pabudu Mahatya.
I have a question, like you just mentioned about the guarding of the senses. But like you just mentioned, like the final the thoughts, like it is not easy, right?
Definitely.
So it is always coming, like you mentioned about the smell. So so when you use the word guarding, right? It's like kind of like what I said, like Poson.
Yes.
So it is something like you have to realize. It's the realization, the way that you need to guard it, or is it like once you're coming into the guard?
Yeah.
Could you please explain that?
Okay, thank you, Pabudu Mahatya. It's an excellent question, really excellent question. Let's talk about the Pali term here. Buddha said Indriya Sangvara. He used the term Sangvara. So remember, this is not the meditation yet. So we are like moving to meditation. This is what we do. Indriya Sangvara is something that we practice in our daily life. So Sangvara means actually restraining. Sangvara means restraining. It can also mean like preventing. So definitely this is very difficult because this is our neural habit. Our habitual patterns is to like start a thought, from a sensory experience. That is, how we have been conditioned, for many years, sometimes many lifetimes. Yes, it is very difficult. The real change happens when we experience deeper level of meditation, when we develop our mindfulness to higher level, and that is where we actually change even the possibility of of having all kinds of construction of a virtual world as a result of something we saw or hear. So Indriya Sangvara is a preliminary practice. So there is some kind of force, but actually it's more like paying attention. So whenever we see something, we usually pay our attention to what we see, the object. But if we can quickly turn that attention inward and focus on our own experience, and then observe that what happened to me, in what kind of interpretation I'm going to make about this. So if you become aware of the inner process, then it's a guarding of the senses. So I think the deeper realization happens when we engage in deeper meditations. But this is like guarding, and this is like preventing. This is not going to, this is not the end result. But this is like, day-to-day life, we try to guard our senses as much as possible. We may not be able to do all the time, but it is a form of sangvara. It's just like sila. We observe the precepts, and then we try, like I say, we feel like lying to someone, but because of your precept, you don't do it, but you urge us to do it. Your urges to do it is not going to stop right there. Of course, by not doing it, you weaken the tendency. But the urges, simply with virtues, simply by precepts, you cannot really completely change our mind. You need to have deeper calmness and insightful realization, as you mentioned. So that's where the real change happens. But this is like preparing our mind for such a change. So Indriya Sangvara is actually a practice that can help us to go into deeper levels of meditation very easily. So Indriya Sangvara is before meditation. So if we practice that guarding of the senses all the time and try to minimize our thoughts development, and then try to remind ourselves it's a sound. It's a sound only. It's a visual form only. This is only. And if you can mention that and try to cut down the length of the thoughts at least, then it becomes so easy for us to meditate when we sit down. So I think you are correct. The real change happens when we have deeper realizations. But Indriya Sangvara is a restraint, is a prevention that we are doing in order to help us to have a deeper calmness in the mind that can help us to have a deeper realization that will ultimately change the whole thing. But this is like the managing the damage, minimizing the damage, and then preparing our mind for a deeper meditation. Okay. On the
I think that is kind of like a middle, right?
That's a middle layer. Yeah, that's a middle layer. It comes before meditation. In this sutta also, in many other suttas also, first you find sila. That's the first step. Second step is Indriya Samvara. And then you will go to daily mindfulness, which is related to Indriya Samvara, and then you'll go to practice of meditation. So it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. Sometimes we miss this intermediate piece. Very important. The more you practice guarding of the senses, then easier for us to go into deeper meditation without any wandering thoughts. Reason that we have wandering thoughts that we have entertained such thoughts in our normal sensory experiences. So the patterns are going to repeat when you sit for meditation. But in our daily life, if we can like guard our senses and try to like minimize the thoughts construction and try to like stay in the actual sensory experience, guarding the senses, not making anything that we see or hear as a point, a theme for reflection, further reflection, a beginning point of further thoughts, which is very difficult. At least if we can do in few cases, that training can be so useful when we sit down for meditation. We'll have less wandering thoughts. So it's very important, preliminary practice. Okay, we have 10 more minutes for our discussion. So please feel free to ask any other question you'd like to discuss, anything you'd like to know.
අවසරයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ.
Sarvai Priyanganona.
I have a question about general mindfulness in day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when we are doing something, we are looking at what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just maybe I'm thinking, what is the relationship between generating thoughts or the thought generation and the mindfulness? So, for example, if you're sweeping, we can look at what we are doing,
Mm-hmm.
but we actually do not put any attempt to do so. So the body knows what to be done, and we, for example, we do not think that raise your hand, take the broom, but that happens automatically.
Yes.
So to maintain mindfulness, should there be a thought before the activity, or is it just looking at what is happening without letting your thoughts wander?
I think we need to have a determination to maintain mindfulness if you want to practice, because we need to have a determination. We need to have a like prior determination to do that. So it's not really mindfulness; it's more like a determination. But then, like bringing awareness to what we are doing is actually helping us to fully engage in the activities that we are doing and not letting our mind lost in thoughts that are not anyway related to what we are doing. So there's always this disconnection between what we are doing and what we are thinking. And this is ordinary normal for any normal beings. So we are doing something, but we are thinking of something else. So there's always a disconnection. So what's going to happen in the daily mindfulness is that we use whatever sensations, whatever bodily sensations, whatever feelings that is coming to us, whatever thoughts that are arising us right there, and we try to situate ourselves in the task that we are doing. Of course, our mind will wander, but we bring it back. And the reason that we want to do it is that, again, just like in the case of Indriya Samvara, to like help ourselves to like be, I mean, to minimize the possibility of having defilements, because defilements occur when we move to our virtual world, when we start like having all kinds of other mental constructions. But if we can stay in the actual sensations, actual bodily movement, actual sensations arising, and we can prevent us from having unnecessary defilements arising in our mind. So that is the purpose. And of course, we will also be able to do the job well. If we are really sweeping with real attention to what we are doing, we can do the job well also. But the Buddhist purpose of doing that is to help us to have less defilements in the mind. Is it clear?
Okay,
That answer, yeah.
understand.
Okay, we can have one more question. Okay, I think Teruwan Saranai, Deepayanono.
I have a question about Indriya Samvara. How can we transform the Indriya Samvara into a meditation?
Thank you for the question. Actually, Indriya Samvara is more like, you can call it almost a meditation itself, but mainly if you think about typical meditation, Indriya Samvara is a supporting factor for meditation. There are many factors that supports our meditation. Of course, there are supporting factors for meditation, like not to talk about issues that are controversial. Like if like we have different types of speeches that can create emotional agitation. So like try to make sure that you don't speak those topics that are not directly related to us, but simply create agitation. So not engaging such talks is one supporting condition for meditation. In the same way, what you call Indriya Samvara is like daily practice, and try our best whenever we see, hear, smell, taste things, and not to make those things that we see, hear, and smell as a beginning point of further development of thoughts. We try our best. So such a practice is actually a supporting practice for meditation. But of course, in deeper meditation, and there is also practice called, whenever you experience anything, you catch the initial encounter of that experience, initial beginning of the first touch of the at the level of contact, and then examining the rising and passing away of that experience. That happens in deeper meditation. What we call Indriya Samvara is a daily practice that when we try to guard our senses, try to use our daily life, whenever we see any smell or whatever, we try to like minimize the thoughts we develop around them and try to stay there. So it's more like a supporting practice for meditation. Is it clear?
Yes, Bhante.
Yeah. Yes.
I can go more on to that.
Yeah, because ultimately in deeper meditation, we develop the ability that even when we see, smell, and taste, we don't really create any any construction at all. But that's a higher different stage. But this is more like a preliminary stage that supports such a practice. Okay, I think now we can stop our discussion right here. Next item in our schedule is the offering to the Buddha Puja. So we are preparing the offerings right now. So if we have prepared any meals today you like to offer to the Buddha, you can prepare that and place in front of the Buddha statue. At 11 o'clock, we will come back, we will join here, and then we can together do our puja. So take a break for 8 minutes and then prepare and bring your meal, bring your offerings to the Buddha statue if you have any. And we will come back and we will start our chanting at 11 o'clock. And thank you. Teruvan Saranai Sildinatama. Yeah. Okay, Tirvan Sarnai Hamotama. So now we are going to start our chanting. We will place the offerings in front of the Buddha statue. I hope that if you have also prepared, you have also placed all the offerings. So let us do it together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us now dedicate these items that we have prepared to the Lord Buddha. Today we are spending this wholesome day observing the precepts, following the practices recommended by the Buddha. So our practice itself is an offering to the Buddha also. But right now, let us show our gratitude, our respect, and our honor to the Buddha by offering all these items. And it's also a way to recollect the virtues of the Buddha that will help us to purify our mind. Let us make a wish. May these candle lights be offered to the Buddha in appreciation of his great wisdom that dispelled the darkness of ignorance from human mind. And may these incense be offered to the Buddha in honor of his great moral fragrance. May these blossomed flowers be offered to the Buddha in honor of his blossomed compassion. May this water be offered to the Buddha in honor of his cooling loving kindness. May these food items be offered to the Buddha in honor of his great generosity. And may this act of offering be a form of recollections of the qualities of the Buddha. And in this, we may also develop inclination and determination to develop same virtues in our life, the same wisdom and same loving kindness, same moral virtues, and same compassion and same generosity. May our life also move towards that direction. With these wishes, let us now chant together to make offering to the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Let's chant together. Homage to the Buddha.
Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammarati satta deva manussanang buddho bhagavati.
Homage to the Dhamma.
Swankato bhagavata dhammo samvittiko akaliko ehipassiko penaiko paccattam veditabbo vinyuhiti.
Homage to the Sangha.
Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Nyāyapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Samiti patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Yadidam chattari purisa yugani Attha purisa punggala Esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuniyo pahuniyo dakkhiniyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang puñyak kettang lokassati.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Offering of light.
Ganesarampadittena dīpena tamadansina tilokadīpang sambuddhang pujayami tamonudang.
Offering of incense.
Gandha sambharayuttena dopenahang sugandhina pujaye pujaniyang tang puja bhajana muttamam.
Offering of flowers.
Vannagandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating pujayami munindasya siripada saruruhi Pujemi Buddhang Kusumena Nena Punyena Mitena Labhami Mokkang Puppang Vilayati Atai Dhammi Kayo tatayati vinasa bhavam.
Offering of water.
Adivasi tuno bhante paniyang parikampitam anukampang upadaya patigan hatuttama.
Offering of food.
Adivasi tuno bhante bhojanang parikampitam anukampang upadaya patigan hatuttama.
Worship of shrines.
Vandami cetiyang sabbang sabbetani supatititang saririka dhatu mahabodhing buddha rupang sakalang sada.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, let us now take a break for lunch. So 3 of us are also going to have our lunch right now. So since we have observed the 8 precepts, which the 6th precept is to abstain from eating at improper times. So therefore you need to take your lunch and then not to eat any chewable food afterwards until you disavow your 8 precepts. So please take an early lunch today, as I mentioned in the morning. So let us make our lunch also a spiritual practice. Let us take our time. Let us try to minimize our speech when we talk. It is impractical to eat and talk at the same time. So let us be mindful about that. And as I mentioned in the morning, so prepare your plate and take a minute of reflection. And first, feel grateful for all people and all living beings and the whole nature that produced this food for you, and be grateful to the person who cooked that food for you. And after that moment of gratitude and reflect that I am eating this food not for indulgence and not for beautification or any other sort of things. I'm taking this food just to sustain my body, to help me to have my practice today. So this food is a support from my practice. I'm eating this for the sustenance of my body. So do those 2 types of reflections before you start eating, and then try to eat mindfully. Take your time and take one bite and chew enough and swallow it with mindfulness, and then you take the next bite, and don't be hurry, and try to have a very quiet lunch together as a family if you can. So have a very mindful lunch. We will meet again at 12:30. 12:30 is our next program. So we have more than an hour for that. So have a mindful lunch and try to also spend other times without minimizing the talk. And then we will meet at 12:30. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Terwan Saranai. Okay, yeah. And one more thing, we have a sutta discussion at 1:30. I'm going to post a link right now in before so during this period. So we will
We can put the link.
yeah.
In chat
So now
box.
we will put the link in the chat section. So please download that sutra, and if you can, please print it out, and so you can have it in ready when we start the sutra discussion at 1:30. So include post kan ini.
Be ready next time.